All right, we are going to go into the video tutorial component of this. Again, this is a Schoology created video, and we are going to look at how to create, use, and share Schoology rubrics.
One of the most popular features in Schoology is the ability to assign and use a rubric to assess graded items like assignments, discussion responses, and short answer quiz questions. Let's first create a rubric, and then we will explore how to copy and share rubrics. Once created, rubrics live in the gradebook, grade setup area. Toggle from scales to rubrics to view the rubrics that have already been created in this course. Rubrics can be created in this grade setup area using the Add button, and rubrics can be created in personal or group resource areas. Many instructors choose to create a rubric while creating the relevant course content, so let's explore that workflow. Rubrics can be assigned to any short answer test question, assignment, or discussion. I will create an assignment in my course that I plan to attach a new rubric to. Create your assignment directions and adjust grading options as you normally do. When you get to the Scale rubric area, you will see that Schoology defaults to grading by a numeric score. But you can use the drop-down menu to select one of the rubrics you've already made, or you can use the Create New option to make a new rubric. First, title the rubric. All rows and columns are editable, and you can stretch the rubric editor to fill your entire screen. When adding criteria to your rubric, you can elect to use custom criteria that you create on the spot, or you can use existing learning objectives. I want my first criteria to address basic formatting requirements. I can click to adjust the criteria title, and I can add a description if I choose. In the scale area, I can add my ratings. For this type of criteria, I do not need 4 different columns, which is the default. So I can simply hover in the top right of the extra columns and delete them. I also only want this criteria to be worth 2 points, so I'll click on the 4 to adjust it to a 2, and I'll click on the 3 to change it to a 0. Even though I only have scale information for 2 points and 0 points, I can still give a student 1 point or even 1.5 points when I assess student work with this rubric. To add another criteria, just click the plus criteria button. Schoology will add a new row that is a copy of the one I just created. For my next criteria, I'm going to need more than 2 columns for scoring. To insert additional columns, I'll hover on the line between the columns until a plus appears, and I will use that to add in additional columns. If you have an existing electronic version of the rubric, you can quickly copy and paste in your information. As I add in criteria and adjust grading points, Schoology keeps a running tally of the total points possible so far on this rubric. Now let's explore how to add existing learning objectives to your rubric. Click the Plus Learning Objectives button. Common Core, State, and a variety of other standards are available for use in your rubrics. Simply navigate to choose the relevant standards to add them to your rubric. Learning objectives behave slightly differently when added to a rubric. Unlike the custom criteria, the name and description of the learning objective cannot be edited in the rubric. However, you are still able to adjust the grading scale descriptions and relevant points. School, group, or personal learning objectives that have been previously created in resources can also be used when creating your rubrics. To access these, click the Learning Objectives button and navigate to the Custom Learning Objectives folder. School custom learning objectives are generated by your organization's system administrator. Group members can create custom learning objectives, and I have created several writing objectives in my personal learning objectives. Creating custom learning objectives is ideal for criteria that you plan to use repeatedly in your rubrics. Not only does this make rubric creation more efficient, but student performance on each of these learning objectives is tracked in the Mastery Reporting tool. Again, I can't adjust the title or descriptions of any of the learning objectives I have pulled in, even for the learning objectives I created in my personal resources. However, I can adjust points as needed to add more emphasis to certain criteria on my rubric. If a criteria is worth 10 points, you do not need to add a column for each and every point value. Simply include the scale factors that you tend to award the most, knowing you can always manually enter any score you wish for each criteria. Drag and drop to rearrange the criterion on your rubric as needed. Once finished creating your criteria, choose the blue Create button to save your rubric. Your rubric now appears in the Scale/Rubric field, and the assignment's overall points have been adjusted to match the total points possible on the rubric. By default, the rubric will be displayed for students on the assignments page. You can deselect this option if you choose. Click the blue Create button to finalize the creation of your assignment. Now let's explore how to score student work or performance with a rubric. Once student submissions have been received, click on a student's name to view his or her work. In the grade field, you will see a rubric icon. Select that icon to bring up your rubric and use it to assess the submission by clicking on the appropriate ratings. Schoology will tally the student's overall score as you score each submission. You can leave specific feedback by hovering in the points column and choosing the comment icon. And you can adjust points manually as needed should a student score between the grading point columns you created. You can also change the overall score of the assignment in the rubric without changing any of the scores for the individual criteria. For example, if you need to lower the grade for a late submission. To change the overall score in the rubric, click in the total points cell and add the new score. After changing the score, a clear override link displays below the score. Click this link to revert the score back to the total of the individual criterion scores. Choose Save to finalize scoring. Rubrics are wonderful for scoring work collected electronically, as well as work collected outside Schoology or for performance tasks. For example, if students are delivering speeches, you can create an assignment from the gradebook and create or select an existing speech rubric for it. This will enable you to score presentations as students deliver them using your rubric. Now let's switch to a student's view. When students view grading feedback, the rubric icon indicates that a rubric was used in scoring. Clicking on the rubric will reveal criterion scores and any comments. Now that you know how to create and use rubrics for scoring, let's explore how to manage your rubrics and share them with others. You can edit a rubric from any assignment it is attached to by editing the assignment and selecting the rubric icon. You can also edit a rubric by visiting Gradebook, Grade Setup, Rubrics. Choose the gear icon and select Edit. Any changes you make to this rubric will be applied to all items in the course that this rubric has been attached to. Copies of this rubric in other courses or in group or personal resources will not be affected. If a rubric has been attached to any item in this course, the option to delete it is grayed out. You must remove the rubric from all attached assignments, discussions, or quizzes prior to deleting it. When you copy your assignments, discussions, and quizzes from course to course, any attached rubrics are copied along as well. But if you need to move a rubric among courses, you can also use the gear icon and choose Copy to Course. Select the destination course or courses and choose Copy. If you have several rubrics to copy, you can copy all of the rubrics in a course to other courses by using the Copy Settings button. If you are only needing to copy rubrics, deselect categories and grading scales and then select the destination courses. This will send a copy of all of the currently existing rubrics in this course to the destination courses you choose. Using resources is another way to move rubrics and is an ideal method for sharing rubrics with others. To save a rubric in resources, use the gear icon and select Save to Resources. If sharing the rubric with others, navigate to the group and choose Save Copy. This will put a copy of the rubric in the group for all members to access. A good workflow tip is to save commonly used rubrics to your personal resources. I have created a collection in my resources for my rubrics, and I will save my feature article rubric there. Now let me choose Resources, Personal, and visit my rubric collection. As mentioned earlier, rubrics can also be created in a personal or group resource area. And once saved in a resource area, it is very easy to move rubrics or add rubrics to classes. Simply select the rubrics you wish to add to your courses, or select the box at the top of the page to select all of them, and then use the Edit button to copy the rubrics to another resource area, like a group resource area, or add them to your courses. When copying rubrics to courses or other resource areas, a unique copy is made in the destination. This copy can be changed without affecting the original. Rubrics are a flexible and powerful assessment tool in Schoology that provides rich feedback to students while streamlining grading for teachers. And Schoology makes it easy for instructors to create, customize, copy, and share rubrics.